Getting comfortable in your space, as always. Feeling free to change positions or add layers or remove layers as needed. Maybe closing your eyes to shift your focus into your body. Just checking in, becoming aware of how your body's feeling today, both mentally and physically. Maybe noticing and being mindful of any places that might be holding tension, whether that's physical or mental. Letting go of any expectations, any competition, any judgment of ourselves and others. Just focusing on this present moment today, being grateful for this opportunity to move together, to breathe together, remembering that we can always come back to that breath, coming back to our mats, and then always remembering that we are in control of our practice and we have the power to choose what feels best for our body today. When we're ready, we can bring our hands down by our sides. Seated or laying down, doesn't matter. All we're going to do is just start to breathe, adding in our arms with that, inhaling deep into the belly, finding that deep diaphragmatic breath, exhaling, hands down by the sides. The arms can sweep up and around, or they can come straight up and overhead. Feel the body lengthen as you inhale. And already just starting to think about slowing down that breath, making your belly as big as you can as you inhale. Exhaling, feeling that core contraction. Taking one more big breath as we exhale. On our exhale, we'll bring our knees into our chest, rocking side to side. If we want to, we can roll over to one side, or we can roll ourselves up, coming to the top of our mats, finding a seated position that feels good for us today. So we can sit crisscross if we want to. We can sit with our knees bent, our legs out, whatever seated position feels good for you. You can sit on a block. As we inhale, our arms up nice and tall. Exhale, right arm reaches down to the side, left arm up and over. Feel that side body stretch. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, left arm down. Same thing on the other side. And just starting to take this at our own pace, inhaling to lift and lengthen, exhaling, feeling that side bend. Pressing our sit bones into the mat with each exhale. Feeling that full stretch through the side of the body. Taking one more round on each side. Thinking about lifting nice and tall through the spine as we lengthen through the crown of the head on our inhales. This time as we exhale, we'll simply change it and make it a twist. So a gentle twist over the left shoulder. Inhaling, coming back to center. Arms can come out to the side or up overhead. Exhale, twist right. Once again, taking this at your own pace. Sitting tall through the crown of the head. Being mindful of our twists this morning as we start, or afternoon as we start. Being gentle on our spines as we're just warming up our bodies. Taking one more round on each side. Then we'll all inhale to come back to center. Exhale, take your hands behind your back. I like to make fists behind me. We can also, if we have blocks, We can reach for the blocks, lifting our hands up a little higher. It's up to us. We'll roll the shoulders back. Inhale, lift the heart to the sky. From here, when we lift our chest and our heart to the sky, that doesn't mean dropping the head and the gaze to the ceiling. We do that, we put a lot of pressure on our upper back and neck. So we want to think about an L shape or like a fist distance in between the chin and the chest. Inhaling, coming back to center. Exhaling, find a seated forward fold, walking the hands in front of us as much as we want to, as much as feels good. We can even take the legs out if that feels better, finding that little seated straddle position. Coming back to center, let's inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, hands behind us, lift, roll the shoulders back. Find that little pinch between the shoulder blades. Take the gaze just to the top of the ceiling where the wall meets the ceiling tiles. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, find that forward fold. Only going as deep as it feels good for us today. When we're ready, we'll slowly come into our all fours. We can bend our knees, bring our legs around, hands under shoulders, knees under hips, making sure we have a little space between our knees as well, because our hips are not together, right? We have a little space. Inhaling, we start with the low back, drop the belly to the mat, lift the heart to the sky. Exhale, chin to chest, round through the spine into your cow. Friends on Zoom, just know that I can't always see messages. As always, in any class, you're welcome to add on any additional exercises. So if you want to do more things for your feet, please feel free to do so. You don't need me to coach you into what feels best for your bodies today. Yoga is a time to explore what feels good for your body. So maybe in your cat and cow, that means moving side to side with your hips. We call this like wagging your tail, looking over one shoulder as we push the hips in the opposite direction. And then we can also make circles with our hips. Coming back to center when we're ready. From here, pressing into both of our hands, softening our fingers, and thinking about pressing into the space on our palm where the thumb meets the palm of the hand. That's going to take some tension out of our wrists. So if we press more into the fingers, we're going to feel that wrist tension. So think about pressing into the back of the palm. From here, we're going to lift the right foot off of the mat. So from the side, folks on Zoom who can't see me, we're lifting the right foot. And we're going to take it out, tap it to the right, bring it in, and tap it to the left, maybe over on that other foot. Just getting that internal rotation is what we're doing when we tap it right. External rotation when we tap it left. Getting a nice little bit of mobility in our hips before we get into some of our other exercises. We can point, we can flex our feet, whatever feels best for us today. We'll do one more on this side, and then we'll come back to center, switching sides. Same thing, anytime we want to, we can also roll out our wrists if it feels like this is too much on our wrists, making sure some of the weight is shifted into our back legs as well. We take the leg out to the left this time, left leg, and then come back center. If we want, we can move this with the breath. Maybe it's inhale, tap left, exhale, tap right. Only going as far as it feels good for us today. Last time on this side. Really, really great to get this mobility in our hips, especially the internal rotation, as we don't do that a lot. Coming back to all fours, hands and knees. From here, we're pressing into our left hand and our right knee, inhaling our right arm and our left leg behind us for bird dog. Arm and leg at shoulder height. We exhale, switch, knee, hand down. Inhale, left arm, right leg. pushing through the heel of the foot so the glutes activate, and then exhale to switch. So from the side, inhale, lengthen. Core is contracted. When we lengthen, core is braced in this position. That helps us with stability, pressing into the opposite palm and opposite hand, and just taking this at your own pace. Thinking about keeping the spine as long as you can make it. If you want to add on anything else to this, you can. Maybe that's leg and arm move to the side. Feeling free to add on anything else to this that we'd like. Let's take one more round on each side. Coming back to our all fours, hands and knees. Fantastic. When we're ready, we're taking our knees to the long edges of our mat, as wide as we want to, sitting our hips back towards our heels for child's pose. Whichever variation feels good for us today. Feel free to rest your head on a block, a pillow, a book. You can extend your arms in front of you, arms behind you. The hands can come together to the top of your head. If that feels good, getting a little bit of shoulder stretch, upper back stretch. Child's pose is a rest pose. It's a true rest pose, just like if we were laying down on our back, on our bellies, or on our sides. We can come into this pose at any time in our practice, as well as any other rest pose. Again, in yoga, you don't need my permission to do what feels best for your body. You are in control. That's really life in general, right? When you're ready, let's extend the arms out in front of us, lift up to find plank position. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips. We shift the hips forward so that the core activates, right? From here, exhaling, if we want to, we can come down and hover so that the chest is right by the elbows, in by the ribs. Inhale, we press back up to plank. Exhale, sit back, child's pose, rest pose. So we're starting this half series on our knees here to get a feel for these exercises. Inhale, let's come forward. Option 2, exhale, we can come all the way down onto the mat. Inhale, we press back up. Exhale, child's pose. Option 3, inhale, come forward. Exhale all the way down onto your mats, bellies on the mats. And then from here, after we lower, keeping the chest down, we lift just the hands. Can we keep our chest down? Gaze comes up a little bit, shoulder blades squeeze back. Inhale, press through the palms, lift yourself up to plank. Exhale, child's pose. Good. Last option. Last option, inhale, come forward. Exhale, lower down onto the bellies. Pressing into the palms. The first thing, roll the shoulders back. Then we press ourselves up if we want to come into full cobra. Shoulders have to be back though. Make the neck long. And then come back to child's pose. You're welcome to stay in child's pose if you want to explore downward facing dog. We tuck the toes, lift the hips up to the sky into that inverted V position. Bending knees right and left maybe. See how the calves are feeling, the hamstrings. Relaxing the face muscles, the jaw. Biceps are right by our ears. And then when we're ready, we can walk our feet to our hands, finding a forward fold. Hands can come to our blocks, books, pillows, anything else that feels good for us to bring the ground up to meet us where we are. That's what we're doing with the blocks. Feet can come nice and wide as well. You can shake your head yes and no. From here, we release the hands. Inhale, lift up, lengthen for our flat back. Soften the knees. So we're coming into that upside down L position. And then exhale, forward fold, even deeper knee bend. We can always take those feet wider if we want to make more room for our belly. One more time, inhale, lift up halfway. Hands to our shins or thighs, roll the shoulders back. Exhale, soften and fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Arms lift up to the sky for extended mountain. Exhale, sit back chair pose. Weights in the heels. Feet can be apart together, whatever feels best. Arms can be up to the sky or out in front of us. Inhale, let's lift one more time. Lengthen, maybe little baby back bend. Exhale, chair pose. Weight is in those heels, so check to wiggle your toes. Let's put this all together, full sun salutation. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, lengthen the spine. Exhale, soften and fold. Inhale, step back to find your plank. Knees or toes. Exhale, take your options in your chaturangas. Inhale, up to cobra or back to plank. Exhale, down dog or child's pose. Stepping as we inhale up to the top of our mat. Forward fold as we exhale. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, chair. Inhale, we lift. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, soften and fold. Stepping back as we inhale, find your plank. Exhale, options in your chaturangas. Inhale, up to cobra or back to plank. Exhale, child's pose, down dog. Stepping, lunging, walking to the top of the mat as we inhale, forward fold, exhale. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, chair. Moving through these sun salutations at your own pace. Feeling free to eliminate anything, again, that doesn't serve us today, or add on anything that might feel better for us. We're moving with our breath. So this is go at your own pace. In all of those moves that we just did. You don't have to see me to do them because you just have been doing them. Always checking in on our bodies as we're moving through this, seeing how it feels for us today. Remembering on that cobra pose that we're pulling our shoulders back to lift the heart to the sky, and the gaze is just coming up a little bit. So it's not, again, a drop back in the head. It's a lift in the chest, lifting your heart to the sky. Anything else that maybe you're noticing as you're going through these, you can add back in. When we're moving into that cobra, thinking about our soft joints. So elbows are soft. Finishing up your sun salutations on this last round that you're on here. So once you get to that chair pose, coming back to your mat, and we'll make our way into child's pose or downward facing dog, either option. From your child's pose or your down dog, we're stepping our right foot to the top of the mat, finding that low lunge position. Again, you can have 2 blocks to frame the foot, or maybe the hands want to come on the inside of the leg. We just want to make sure the knee is in line with the toes. From here, we're lifting our left knee and rotating the hips around to the long side of the mat, coming into that wide straddle position. You can bend your knees right and left, checking in on how the inner thighs are feeling. As you're ready, coming back to center, shifting that weight back to center, we'll walk our feet in a little bit, heel toe, heel toe. Hands can come onto the thighs as we lift the chest. We'll inhale, lift up to the sky. So knees are soft. Again, when we come down here in this position, knees are soft. It's like a sumo squat. So then we can use the hand support to come up. So we're hinging always at our hips. Arms up to the sky in our 5-pointed star as we exhale, finding sunflower, sinking down, toes out, knees in line with toes, dropping the hips straight down and up, pressing into those pinky toes, sweeping the arms to the floor, finding this nice release in our hips. Let's take 2 more rounds here. And then coming back to our 5-pointed star, reaching up to the sky. From here, we take our hands to our hips, soften our knees, toes move towards the front of our long mat, side of our mat. From here, thinking about that soft knee bend as we hinge, right? Hinging from our hips, hands come back to our blocks or the floor. From here, we can walk the feet a little wider, maybe to the longer ends of the mat. We're taking our weight, our left hand to the center of our body, keeping our core brace and our hips nice and stable. So we have to find that nice core brace in the belly. We twist over the right shoulder. Right hand can come to the low back, or it can reach up to the sky. We're only twisting as much as it feels good for us today. Taking a big inhale as we exhale, come back to center. Switching our hands, right hand to the center of the body, bracing the core, hips stable as we exhale, twisting over the left shoulder. Option arm up to the sky. Taking one more big inhale. As we exhale, coming back to center. Walking your hands towards our right foot. Finding that nice low lunge. The knee can always come down if we want to. From here, we're walking the right foot over to the long side of the mat, bringing both hands in for lizard pose. We can always let this knee fall out to the side if we want to a little bit. We can come down as low as we want to. Maybe the forearms feel good for us today. Relaxing through the muscles in the jaw and the face. On our next inhale, let's walk our hands back up if we're not already there. Lift our left knee. And then from here, we're stepping both feet together at the top of the mat to find that forward fold. Maybe shifting the hips side to side if it feels good. From here, looking at your feet, can you bring your big toes to touch? So there's a sliver of light that passes through the feet, just the big toes in line with each other. As we soften our knees, walking our hands up, finding a nice standing position. A little different than mountain pose because our toes are together. If we want to and we have a block or a book, we can also take that block or book in between our inner thighs. Feet can come a little bit apart just so we have that core activation. From here, we'll inhale, reach our arms up to the sky. Exhale, sit back into our chair pose. Yes, so weight is in the heels. We're squeezing our blocks if we have it as we exhale, twisting over the right shoulder. Option to take one hand on the low back, one hand on the thigh, or we can bring our left elbow all the way across the right thigh, above the knee. So if we're gonna do that, we have to sink lower, right? I like to hold the block in this position because it really you have to think about the inner thigh and core muscles. And then if you want to, you can open both arms in this position, just an option. Only if we're sinking down low enough to, trying to keep those knees together by squeezing them in. One more big inhale. As we exhale, come back to center. And then inhale, we lift. Excellent. Exhale, sink back down. Taking this over to the other side. So trying once again, knees stay together. The upper body rotates. Left hand to the low back, right arm on the thigh. So look at your knees. Again, the block really helps to keep those knees in line, because what we don't want is this to happen. If you can see me, the hips shift, right? We want to keep those hips stable as we rotate through the thoracic spine. Option to open the arms if we want to. Keeping the core nice and strong. One more big inhale. As we exhale, coming back to center, hands come together. We inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, find mountain pose. You can take the block out, set it to the side if you have it. Let's inhale, lift to the sky. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Stepping back to find your down dog or child's pose. An option to move through your half series if that feels good for you. Meeting back in child's pose or down dog. From this position, we'll step our left foot to the top of the mat, finding that low lunge. And then we'll walk our hands, we'll lift the right knee, walk the hands to the long side of the mat. So we're facing the other direction. Once again, bending knees right and left. In this position, thinking about those feet as we walk them in, heel toe, heels in, toes out, hands move up through the thighs, the knees are bent, right? Hips are down. Inhale, lift to the sky in that 5-pointed star. As we exhale, we sink down for moonflower. Knees out in line with toes. Big inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Moving through this at our own pace, squeezing and retracting the shoulder blades down and back. Last 2 times here. Inhaling, we'll find our 5-pointed star. As we soften the knees, we take the toes back to the front of the mat, the long side, soften the knees as we hinge. Coming into our wide leg straddle. We can bend our knees once again. Walk our feet a little wider for me to those long edges of the mat. And we're going to find our twist again one more time, just like we did on the other side. So right hand, let's start with center of the body weight or on the blocks. Brace your core. So if you can actually at first even just look up here at me, what happens a lot of times when we do this, if you can see my hips, they shift. You see that? They shift side to side. We don't want them to shift as we rotate. So keep the hips square on the mat by bracing and rotating just through the thoracic and upper back. The hand can also come to your low back. So just as much as this is nice release for our back, it's also lumbopelvic stability for our hips and our pelvis. One more big inhale. As we exhale, come back to center. Other side, left hand in the center of our body, brace the core. As we inhale, we open to the other side. Finding a nice steady breath. One more big inhale. Exhale, come back to center. From here, walking our hands to our left foot, we rotate the hips, coming back to our lunge, low lunge. Knee can come to the ground. Foot walks to the left side of the mat as the hands come in for our pigeon pose on the other side. Knees in line with toes, and we can also let the left knee fall open a little bit if we'd like, coming down as deep into this as it feels good for us. When we're ready, we'll walk our hands back up if we're down on our forms, taking that left leg and just coming back into our child's pose. If we want to take one last down dog, we can, moving through our half series one last time if we'd like. If not, we'll all meet in child's pose. Just want to give you one more opportunity to move through that downward facing dog. From your child's pose, we're walking ourselves up, lifting our chest head. We're just going to shift ourselves around, bending our knees, taking our feet in front of us, and having a seat. So knees are bent in front of us here, hands behind us, and I'd like you to take your hands under your shoulders with your fingers pointing towards your body. So if you can see mine, that means your palms like this, right? Taking the feet hip distance apart. From here, as we press into our palms, we're lifting our hips up into a reverse tabletop. We don't, again, want to let the head sink back. So take your eye gaze maybe a little bit up to the ceiling where it meets the wall, right? Squeezing through the glutes as you press into your feet. One more big inhale. Exhale, lower down. Awesome. We can sit up, release through the wrists. We're going to do that one more time because we don't do it a lot. And it's really good extension for our spine. So hands come back behind us. Again, think about pressing into this part of your palm where it meets your thumb versus your fingers. Roll the shoulders back, lift the heart. Press actively into the feet, squeeze the glutes. You should feel the back body, the glutes, the hamstrings, the low back. One more big inhale. Exhale, slowly lower it back down. Awesome job, y'all. Taking your right leg out in front of you, we'll pull the left knee into the chest. Use that as a break to slowly lower ourselves down onto our mats. From here on our backs, we can bring our knees into our chest, rock side to side. Grabbing underneath our knee on our hamstring. The mic doesn't like this position clearly. From here, let's take our left foot to the floor. And then we'll take our right foot across the left, flexing through the right foot. It's a figure 4 stretch or a supine pigeon pose. We can stay right here or we can reach through, grabbing onto the left leg, pulling the knee into the chest. We can also simply drop the knees side to side, maybe take that little shake, little twist. From this position, if this feels good for you, I'll give you 2 options. Arms come out a little wider on our mats as we slowly lower our knees over to the left side. We can stay in this figure 4 position, or we can uncross the legs in our supine twist. Either option, whatever feels good for you. It's going to be a little deeper stretch for the glutes when we drop the knees to the side with the figure 4 position, that is. When you're ready, we'll slowly uncross the legs, bring the feet back to the mat, walk them back to center. And then from here, take the feet a little wider on the mat. So the feet are wide on the mat. We drop the knees side to side, that little windshield wiper action, just releasing maybe any tension left there from that stretch. Bringing your feet back to center. We'll shift to the other side. Right foot on the floor, left foot comes in, crosses over, flexing through that left foot. And we can reach through, finding that supine pigeon pose. Option to rock the knees side to side, rock the hips. When you're ready, bringing your knees back to center. We'll take our right foot to the floor, and then we can slowly drop the knees over to that right side. Option to stay in that figure four position, or we can uncross the legs. We can also let the knees fall down onto a block, bringing that ground up to meet us. Keeping both shoulders on the mat, eye gaze can be in either direction. When you're ready, slowly coming back to center. Once again, we'll walk our feet to the long edge of the mat, feet on the mat. And we just drop those knees side to side, last little bit of windshield wiper action. Taking any last and final poses, one that we do sometimes at the end of class that we can take if we want to, is our happy baby. If we want, our knees can come into our chest or outside of the chest. We can reach for our big toes or our ankles, taking those legs up to the sky. Maybe you want to just do one-legged happy baby even. Our knees are bent in this position, so knees come outside of our ribs. Great release for the low back, especially anyone with sciatic nerve pain. And then we can always sway side to side too. Whenever you're ready, you're welcome to make your way into your favorite rest pose for our final relaxation. Once again, this can be child's pose. It can be on your back in Shavasana, legs extended, feet on the mat, knees bent. You can lay on your side. You can lay on your belly. You can use the blocks or pillows if you have any around you. Maybe you want to find a restorative bridge or a restorative fish. Once again, closing your eyes, bringing your focus back to your breath. Breathing deeply in through the nose as you inhale and exhaling maybe through the nose. At this point, we are welcome to find any other breath strategy or technique that might feel good for us today. Starting to wiggle your fingers and toes, just bringing that sense of awareness back into your body and your space. Whenever you're ready, you're welcome to bring your knees back into your chest or just bend your knees, feet on the mat. You can roll over onto your favorite side, letting those knees fall to that side, using your arm as a pillow. It's also known as the fetal position if you're a visual person. This helps us to reset our blood pressure and our heart rate before we come back up to our seated position. When you're ready, you can press into your mat, into the floor, pushing yourself up into that seated position. Any seated position is good for you. I'm in a Z-sit right now, even that's an option. We'll sit up nice and tall, taking one last collective breath together as we inhale, arms come up to the sky, making that our biggest and best breath yet. Exhaling, hands into our heart center. The light in me honors, sees, and observes the light in each and every one of you. It is also within me. So thank you all for being here today. I hope you have an awesome rest of your week.